Hey everybody, welcome back to the Shift podcast where inspiration meets leaders, mentors, and the everyday person who wants to inspire people. This is the show where we bring on guests that will share their expertise, that will share their insight and practical applications of how you can create your own shift. This week on the show, I got my guy, my mentee, my brother, my friend on the show. His name is Dezire, and he's going to come and share with us all about mentorship and also about student life and all that good stuff. So without further ado, welcome to the show, my brother.
Thanks for having me, man.
Man, I'm very excited about this one. The signature question on the show is, what does the shift mean to you? What does the shift mean to you? We're talking about transitions in life. We talk about how important it is. So what does the shift mean to you?
Very good question. And for me, like, as you know personally, the shift has a lot of layers to it. There's so much layers to it, like from the education side of things, sports side of things, and the corporate side of things. It's just even in relationships, like there's so much about the shift that has impacted my life and has changed me, for the better in every facet and in every area. So to put into simple terms, because I know there's so much we can get into, the shift for me is about seeing the potential that you are able to tap into, In every area of your life, there's always a potential, there's always an opportunity for you to grow, for you to develop, for you to change, and always for the better. And that change can be a ripple effect that affects those around you. Now, the shift is what helps you to get the tools. For me, like, it provided me with the tools. And what are those tools? They were not so much tangible tools, but they were more like changing my mindset, changing my attitude, changing my posture. Yeah. Things like, if I'm waiting for the job place to get back to me, what am I doing in the meantime? Am I learning? Am I practicing? Or am I just waiting idly? So the shift allowed me to think more practically and to be more proactive. So then not waiting for the opportunity to come to me, but to meet it when the opportunity comes. Now I'm ready. So it's like not waiting to get ready, but being ready already, so that when it comes,
being ready already.
Yes. So when the opportunity comes, I'm not caught, for lack of a better term, I'm not caught lacking, like I'm able to meet the challenge, I'm able to meet the difficulty, I'm able to meet the opportunity and show the best version of myself and not having to worry about second guessing myself. So the shift for me allowed me to build those very, like I say, rigid, wonderful skills that taught me to be confident in myself, in my abilities, because it allowed me to really ask myself big, deep, critical questions like, why am I doing this? Who am I doing this for? How will it impact others, family and friends? And what change do I want to bring first to myself and to others? So yeah, it's a very for me, like multi-layered revelation that changes one's life if it applied correctly. Yeah.
Gee, my guy. Wow, okay. That's a good start. And just give people a little bit of a background of who you are, what is it that you do, and how you're showing up.
Yeah, so well, I was a student in the University of South Wales, so I graduated around 2020, so when COVID was coming in. Yeah. So after graduating, I went through a period where a lot of people were like being furloughed and a lot of companies were not looking for employment. So I was stuck in a pretty difficult moment where it's like, okay, I got my degree, now I want to get into the world of work. Yeah. And I graduated in computer science. So in my mind I thought, okay, IT jobs should be easier because there's probably, I guess, less COVID restrictions that might need to be put in place as in protocols, but nonetheless that was still a challenge in itself. So I went from a process of looking for work for like over a year and 6 months, as you know very well, and it was very, very distressing and very depressing because it just felt like whatever I was applying for, nothing was catching. And I was applying for things within my field because I was very well versed in web development. Yeah. So then I was applying for web development jobs, but nothing was opening. Even startups. A lot of times I was looking for junior roles, but I was always met with like, okay, we need someone that has at least 1 year experience. I'm like, I'm applying to get the experience in the first place. So there was a lot of difficulties and just a lot of hardship to really kind of navigate through you know, and even it came to a point where I felt like I might as well just let my degree be on a shelf and just go and find whether it's a hands-on job or maybe like a retail job and anything that I can do, because at this point I'm starting to become desperate, you know. And it was one of the moments where, you know, where we started journeying as well. Interesting enough, it was the time we started to journey together, and then, like, you know, you just came and just really gave me a different perspective on looking at things, like in the sense, okay, while all of this is happening, you know, yes, we can acknowledge this is a difficult period, but let's just not leave it there. Let's actually do something about it.
Yeah.
You know, what is it that you can do practically? What are the kind of principles you can do? Like, how can you make yourself the best candidate for yourself even while you're waiting? And it wasn't so much of you, like, I guess, telling me so much what to do, but it was more or less you pointing me into the right direction. And that helped me, like, okay, no, cool. As I'm waiting, I can go and work on my other skill sets of IT, like, for example, my software related skills. So I start to do a little bit of things in that capacity, and from that period, I managed to find a place in USW, with the place where I graduated. Funnily enough, for me, it wasn't a place where I think I would end up again, because, like, being back in education, coming out of education and then working back in education again, I didn't think it was something that I would, I guess, kind of like adjust to very well. But, you know, and I remember just speaking to you about it, and you would encourage me, you know, take the opportunity, even if it might not be your number one place or your most ideal thing, but you don't know what it can bring. You know, like, and the kind of qualities that it can bring out. And then I remember just, of course, applying for that process. I'm going through the interview stages, like my now manager thingy has. I remember going through the process. The interview was about 30 minutes. It went really well. And afterwards, he contacted me like 15 minutes after telling me I got the job. I'm thinking, oh my goodness. And I didn't think this how career was going to be. But a lot of that was like, at that time, I was already applying the right principles that I was able to attain to from like having a good shifted mindset, good shifted posture, and a good shifted outlook on life. In the sense that I don't have to be like, oh, poor me, the opportunity is not coming to me, but I can actually do something about it. Now, it doesn't mean I'm going to get everything, but it means even for the things that I can get, I can give my best to it. You know? What
would your advice be for somebody who's maybe in that situation right now, maybe, with going for an interview or, transitioning? What would your advice be for them?
It's very good. And I think context is always important. So and by context, I mean, like, be aware of where you are first. First of all, understand the situation you're in. So, like, if you've gone through a process where you've applied for so and so things, and then, you know, that can be very encouraging. Or maybe you have many leads, but, like, you don't know which one is the best for you. So it's like understanding first your context, and within that context, understand, what do I want to get out of this? Because, you know, what's most important thing that I've learned, especially with the shift, like, it teaches you not to forget the individual. So, like, when you're plugging into because a lot of the time you can plug into an organization or a corporation and you can forget yourself for the sake of the salary. You know, you kind of like let yourself go, and that could be in a sense that if you're a very technical person who's very creative, but, you know, you understand your job and there's love for creativity, you know, you can, if you don't keep it, like, good guards up within yourself, you can kind of sacrifice your creativity for the sake of, you know, I guess just trying to get, you know, your bills paid and so on and so forth. So my encouragement for somebody in that situation is that, you know, don't forget your identity, don't forget yourself, you know. So remember, when you're applying as a unique individual, not just as somebody in the cog, you know, like, you know, like as another cog in the system, like, you know, and you're part of something bigger. But remember, that part of something bigger is all created with the individual touch. So in a sense that, don't forget what you're bringing to the organization, and be proud of it. And therefore, and one of the best ways you can really be proud of it is by working on it. So, like, as you're waiting maybe to hear for an interview or for a job offer, whatever it is, or even if you haven't heard anything back, be proactive. Take time to practice on yourself the skills that you like, you know, whether it's maths or science or business, whatever it is. Take practical applications and steps, so that, you know, and you'll find it a lot of time in your practicality, you'll find it you might even end up being even overqualified for the role that you're applying for, and they might just fast track you to somewhere higher because you did your homework. You know, it's like you did that extra work that no one else was doing, you know, in the interview process.
Yeah.
So yeah, look after yourself in the sense that don't neglect the adventure and the opportunity of growing yourself while you're waiting.
Yeah, that's good. That's good, because when you went for the interviews and that you were saying that there are two different is the web designer
Yes.
and
software
and the software.
Yeah.
But you were good in the web design.
Web development was my strength. That's what I graduated, and that's what I wanted to do on paper. Yeah, and the software wasn't my strong suit. But then this is where like the principles from the shift allowed me to practice, because I said, even if it's not my strong suit, let me at least still apply enough to be competent in. And lo and behold, today I'm a software developer.
Yeah, software. and that's the thing that what's so fascinating about that story is that, you know, the saying that you would always, I'll credit you for that saying as well, is to strengthen your strengths and sharpening your weaknesses. And that there, what you're doing today was the weakness
100%,
at the time.
100%.
And then it became a strength. And now it's weird because now the web design is now the weak, you know what I'm saying? It's now the weak one. But,
literally.
But I like the mentality, because that mindset of the weaker becomes stronger. We have to sharpen the weakness and strengthen the strengths. That one has really changed the way I look at things as well, you know. And then so when you fail or fall forward, it's like, okay, what can I learn from this?
Yes.
You know, so that mentality has really helped me to move forward as well, you know, with that mindset. I remember it was in there was a storm that day. I was still in Exeter. I still remember I was in my friend's house, me and my wife, and we spoke, and you were just laying on the bed, discouraged.
I was, because I was literally just to give you my sob story of why nothing is catching on. Why is everyone saying no? You know, I graduated with a first class honors, but you know, that's not good enough. What more do they want from me?
And the neighbor always looking at you standing at the door. Like, it's almost like you don't want to go find a job.
Exactly. Oh, that neighbor, man.
You don't want to go and find a job, young man. You got these qualifications.
Exactly.
And it was a tough time, right?
It was very, very, because it's like, as I said, because it drove me to the point of desperation, because I felt like maybe IT is not for me. You know, maybe all the hours that I sacrificed in uni and whatever it was, and the things I'd done in my off time, maybe it just wasn't for me. And it was just like, I didn't know what to do. I didn't really know where to look to. But you know, I thank God for people like you, because you came right at the right time to give me the direction. Because you know, as we were speaking, you know, because I was in my room, I was just laying there, and my thing, and even our conversation, you can tell it's like I wanted to speak, but I wasn't very energetic. You know, because I was very my responses were like, I don't think they were one-word responses, but it wasn't engaging enough to continue with the conversation. But what I must give credit to you for, like, you didn't give up. You could have been like, okay, I'm gonna hang up. I'll call you when you're more energetic. You know, you continued. You persisted, and you in a sense pursued me to have a conversation. You know, and then from there, eventually, like, you know, there was some things you started to say about, you know, having a change of mindset, having a different approach to things. But it's just like, it awoken something inside of me. I was like, oh my goodness, where's this fire coming from?
And that's where the strengthening your strengths, sharpening your weaknesses comes from. In your weakness, it was that moment where something just sprung up. You know what I mean? Something sprung up, and it was also the thing of, if I just leave you to it, I knew at the time that this is what you need. You might not know that you need
it.
But I know that this is what you need, and so I have to persist. I have to kind of like put more weight on the weights, and as you just bench press, you know, and it's like it's heavy, and I just put more on to get your focus to be, you got to push. You know, you got to push, and if I'm not going to put more on you, I was actually seeing where you were, how far. Now, if you continued, I would just take off some of the weight. But I had to apply the weight because it was more of perspective and perception in this moment, that I just felt that this is what you need at this moment. And then you went for an interview, for the interview, what was one thing that you didn't get it and then they called you back?
Wow, it was the whole process was quite surreal because I remember there was two people, and I think I don't know if one of the other person is still in the organization, but the other guy who's my manager, he also got promoted. But one of the key things, even in our interview process, it was like, as I said, it was a half an hour interview, and they asked me a series of questions. Now, bear in mind, a lot of my responses, I was responding from my strength. I was responding from my web development, technicality and experience, even though the interview was designed for software. So it's like I was just doing my best to talk about, I guess, the general skills that I have in web that can be transferable into soft. So then I was trying to be wide because I couldn't just give a very, very strict view on web, but then having no understanding in software, because as I said, at this point I just wanted to be able to get it as much as possible.
Yeah.
And funny enough, in my mind I already decided, like, even if I don't get this job, it's okay, at least I tried, because it was never my strong suit anyway, but at least let me give my best. That was my perspective. And then of course they asked me a series of questions. Of course I'm responding to them as well as I can, and then there was one question, and this is where it's like, I'm really grateful to God for the opportunity of taking time to actually prepare and learn, especially when things may seem like, while you're waiting and nothing is coming on, that's the best time to learn and prepare. Because in my time of learning and preparing, I just by chance looked at a question about a method of coding, right? And this method of coding is very synonymous in software development. And I remember when I first glanced at it, I think, I'm never going to use that, because I'm not really going to code in that kind of way. But I just had an inkling, let me just actually read it. Let me read the examples. At least, even if I don't use it, at least I will know what it is. I can find core. I read it with a short article, give me practical examples. And I think I read it just the day before my interview. And now the final question for me, I think this was like the make it or break it moment for me. The final question was on the exact same thing that I read the other day. I'm thinking, oh my goodness. I remember when they asked me, and the question was on object-oriented programming, and then how it's done, and then they asked for the practical example. How would you use it in a practical example? And then I remember when they said it to me, it was just like the lights came on. Thinking, oh my goodness, I'm glad that I read that literally yesterday, and I read it more like not so much with intention of using it. I read it just for general knowledge. And then from there, I was able to answer it and very well and articulate myself, very concisely, because I was able to give a practical example in simple terms. I use fruits, and just how you can use fruits to kind of describe the process of object-oriented programming. And I can see, like, from like their facial expression, they're like, oh my goodness, he really understands what we're looking for. Yeah. It's like everything they asked me for didn't matter. Everything hung on that one question. Yeah. And then so when they and I think when the interview finished, I think they finished like 10 minutes before, and then 15 minutes after, because they said to me, we'll get back to you, X, Y, and Z. This usually takes a couple of days. As I assume, most companies tend to have other candidates they lock down. And I don't know if they did. I think they did have one or two other candidates, but within 15 minutes, I got the email, we'd like to offer you the job. Yeah. I'm thinking, wow, that's truly something that you can't make up. And it didn't happen by accident. There was preparation that went behind it.
You're right.
So then, you can't really put yourself in a position where you can find yourself in good opportunities and good circumstances, because you've done the homework, you've done the work that no one else is really willing to do. Yeah.
And how long have you been working now? In
3 years now.
3 years. And you were saying how you got those promotions.
Promotions. And that's another story. So that job was for an internship. And funnily enough, the internships that they were offering then, they were only 6-month internships. But and I remember applying for some of those before, but I was getting rejected. This internship was for a year. Right. So I think that was really well uncomfortable. Oh, wow, thank God for this. This will really help me to kind of branch out, build my skills, and allow me to at least think on my feet for the whole year. And then, of course, afterwards, I can go and look for another place. That was my mindset. little did I know. So they put me on a ML project, so machine learning AI project, because they wanted to the reason they employed me, because they wanted to tap into AI and to get somebody to investigate how they can use AI to do sentiment analysis, and that basically is they have a lot of surveys where students give their reviews of their student experience on university, and that data can be from upwards from 2,000 to 3,000, and it's normally a manual process where department will be reading each comment and then categorizing which comments are positive, which are negative, and which are maybe neutral. So they wanted to build and they wanted to use AI that can automate that process for them. And again, funny enough, I had no experience in AI. I heard of it. It was more like just learning on the job. And I remember saying to myself, "Oh, what have I got myself into?" It's like it's like when you quote unquote lie on your CV, but you still get the job. I felt like an imposter, because I'm thinking this is a big tax that they're giving to me. I'm somebody who had never had used AI, but again, because I built the resilience before, I was like, you know what, I'm not going to turn away from this. Even if I fail, I'm going to give my best, because I have the resilience, I have the shifted mindset that, I have worked on myself individually, so then I can go and research this. This is exactly what I did. I watched YouTube videos. I read articles on ML. I got a lot of stuff to help me, because I've already built that background. I've already built that foundation of not giving up on myself in that aspect. So I built the project. I had and I still have a wonderful supervisor who helped to carry a lot of the heavy load on things that I didn't understand. But I was able to bring him the idea, and he was able to make it better in different areas. So when it came to time to kind of present it, and this was about 2 months. So this project, I think they kind of gave me 6 months. So throughout my probation period, they didn't really give me a fixed timeline, but it was I think I had like a 6-month period of completing it. Managed to get something working up and running within I think 1 month or 2 months, and my manager was very impressed, because he saw one of the things they were saying to me, he saw my teachableness, he saw my tenacity to learn even things that, because he knew I wasn't experienced in this, but he saw my willingness to learn and to take an initiative, to be proactive, to be willing to learn from trial and error. He saw all of those things, and he was saying to me, I want you to be a permanent developer here, And in my mind, I'm thinking, I've only been here for less than 2 months, I don't think you transitioning me, because this is, into a much more secure permanent developer with more responsibilities. I don't think I'm ready for that. And I remember even trying to tell him why he shouldn't promote me, because I felt incapable. But he insisted. No. I want you here. I want you to work here. I think you definitely have shown enough to me to show that you can definitely handle whatever comes across your way. And it was for him, it was like a breath of fresh air, because I don't think he's encountered a lot of developers like that. So it's in my mind, even though I was nervous, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna say no. I'm just gonna take the opportunity, because I'm not gonna allow the fear of failure to stop me, So after 2 months, I got promoted. I wasn't even finishing my probation, so all of that was just skipped.
Wow.
Position change, given more responsibility. Of course, naturally, salary just was doubled by that time, and it was just being brought to an oasis of just resources and just things that I thought I would get access to very, very soon into my career. I thought it would take me at least 2 to 3 years in industry in order for me to access those things. But I got those things. I got the key. I got the keys to those castles within the first 2 months. I'm
wow. That's the heart, isn't it?
And there's a lot of principles behind it.
100%. Yeah, just a couple of more questions. In terms of say with your boss.
Yes.
You could see that mentorship.
Yes.
Mindset there, even though you couldn't see.
Yeah.
This is what good mentors. They do that. We bring out the best out of you that can scare you.
Yes.
But it's you.
Yeah.
And so is having that balance. How important is mentorship for you in terms of just looking at that situation right now.
No, it's very important because, as I said, it allows you to have your character refined in such a way that you will not be able to do in any other circumstance or context. And what I mean by that is that mentorship allows you to look at yourself critically, in a sense, not with like a negative view, but to address your issue. It allows you to take accountability and responsibility, and it allows you to learn the skills that you're good at, and also to learn the skills that you're not so good at, so that you're not like kind of like wasting your time on things that maybe you're not so good at. So like you know where your strengths are, and you know what areas that are your weaknesses that you can develop and grow into other strength, and other things may be like, okay, that's probably not an area for me, so I'm not gonna waste time, resources, and energies trying to make that work when that's not the direction that's gonna lead me to where I wanna go. So for me, it's a sense that I find mentorship is a good way to help you define your identity. It's like, and even in some cases, it can help you discover the new identity of yourself, because you might identify yourself as somebody that only I guess that only passes on the third or fourth try. But with mentorship, you can learn to reduce. No, I'm somebody who can't pass on the first try or on a second try, and you just because it allows you not to just have like positive thoughts, but to deal with reality as it comes to you, and to deal with reality with a level of optimism that is healthy, and that is rooted, that is like rooted and grounded in real life experiences and valuable lessons that you can not only take for yourself but transfer and teach to others, and having someone like my manager over me, it allowed me to really ease in very, very well. And the interesting thing now working here for like 3 years, it's put me in a position where I've learned like 2 other languages in coding, and I've built good proficiency in using them. So I came in only being able to code in 2 languages, and now I can code in 5, 6 languages.
Wow.
Because I was in an environment that allowed me to grow.
Okay.
I was in an environment that was helping for me to succeed. And like so, because then therefore, of course I know it cannot always be helped, but it's nice to be in an environment where you're wanted there, and you're tolerated. Exactly, you're not tolerated. You're wanted there, and you're seen as a value. And then I know that's not the experience for most people with work, but for me, I do thank God that is my experience. So then I'm gonna use that as much as possible to be a positive voice, and also a positive impact, and also just better for myself. And what was even interesting, because 2022 was the same year where I got my job. It was one of the most craziest years for me, because I'll put it in air quotes, I got instant fame there, because my manager, because of how well I done with my project, my manager pushed me forward to be the face of the university, because the university wanted to use success graduate stories who went on to do well. So my manager encouraged me, put my name on, and first he asked me, if I was comfortable sitting in front of camera and getting recorded and sharing my journey. At first I was like, I was a bit nervous, but I was like, yeah, sure. I'll do it if it help, in any kind of way. But what I found is that the recordings, like the way they were telling me, I thought it would just be limited to the university. Again, just sharing my story, my journey, part of the success story of graduate schemes. And I thought it would just be local, just I'm at university. And there was myself and 4 other candidates that was done the recording. But I found that with my clip, or my side of the thing, it became so popular that they put posters of me in like.
Bro, I saw you in London.
Yeah, in London Underground.
I saw you in London, on the waiting for the train. And that's my guy right there. That's your D.
Literally, it was funny.
Wow.
I've had friends, who watch Love Island. They said I would always come before the Love Island Love Island breaks. I'm one of the guys. I think one of my friends that asked me. He was saying, "Is your friend on Love Island or something?" They said, "No, why?" He said, "Why are you always coming up before the Love Island starts?"
Yeah.
And it was just so crazy, because I never thought it would go that far. And when I listened to it, I think it was just the way I was being authentic.
That's right.
With my story, with the authenticity that really encouraged the unit to push it forward. And the way they pushed it forward, it was just like being shared all over, whether it was on Twitter. I remember I remember even on the open day in Newport, they had a big billboard of me smiling.
My God.
Literally,
My God, who was like in his room there, laying on his bed. I was like, "Man, what is life? What is this life?"
And you know, it's funny, and this is why is how it's always good having, you know, positive, you know, people who want the best for you over, like my manager, because like it was my so my manager's wife also works in the university to some extent, so she was at the open day because he's talked enough about me to her. She took a picture of my billboard and then sent it to me. Then he sent it to me. So, oh look what my mouth sent me. They've got you plastered all over the open day in Newport. I'm thinking, oh my gosh,
yeah, man, that is
literally,
that's crazy.
yeah.
Also, like you said that you, after that promotion, you then got people who works under you.
Yeah.
How did that mentorship then help there?
Yeah, no, it was good. So like I guess everything happened so fast because it was in the same year. They got two other juniors, you know. Now, funnily enough, they put them on a 6-month contract. So not even the year contract I was on. So it's like the amount of failure that I got an opportunity is like, you know. It was like I just thought it was just designed for me because when they came in, and I'll be honest, these boys were very bright and very capable in areas, and they were I guess they were more software developers than I was, you know, but and I was given the opportunity like when they were coming, they were like my manager wanted them to get some experience in the AI field, so then I became the quote unquote expert, you know, still learning on the job. So then I was given the opportunity to kind of show them what I went through, to give them the logic of the coding process, give them some examples, things to look on, and then things that they found for them to kind of report back to me and to my supervisor. So I had that opportunity to kind of guide them very early on into their things. Of course, they've moved on and are working on other projects now, but it's like and I just remember just trying to be genuine and available for them because of how my manager was to me.
That's it.
You know,
that is that ripple effect.
Exactly. As I mentioned
There's
to you.
a ripple effect.
Yeah, and I can say that they both have very found their own voices and found their own feet in the organization. So I'm just glad when I was called to step up to the plate, I was able to replicate what was given to me, you know, and package it in a way that I was able to provide for them. So yeah, it was good.
Man, I am proud of you, man. How you have grown and developed as a person. But what would your motivation or encouragement be for somebody out there, whether they're in business, whether they're not in business, whether they go for an interview, whether somebody that came from rejection as well? What would your encouragement be to them? And this is your opportunity to inspire people now.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for me, it all comes back down to your identity. Because without your identity, you won't know who you are and you won't know what you're capable of, you know? And the hard thing is about identity, you have to put in work to discover it. Yeah, of course, you know, we have identity that's given to us when we are born, or maybe experience, you know, people can give you identity. But you'll find that one of the hardest things is giving yourself the right identity and discovering the right identity, you know. So my biggest advice is, first of all, you know, understanding that you are a unique individual and you're not just somebody who's part of the everyday mundane thing. Like, you know, there's a way that you can impact, you know, people's life and your own life that no one else could, you know. And I think it's very important to learn the things that make you, you know, the things that align with your values and your identity, you know. Whereas if you're somebody, let's say, who practices the faith, you're religious, you know, take time to learn that and grow in that, because then you can build your identity through that. And if you're somebody who's not, that's fine. You know, take time to learn and to practice that. You know, find the things that make you, you know, embrace the uniqueness that you have. You know, so I'm with that. Like, you'll find that once you start stepping on our journey of like understanding the values and the things that's been given to you, is that you're able to learn how to tap into the right potentials for yourself. You know, and you learn to think to walk in a way that's consistent with your life pattern. And what I mean by that, because a lot of the time we can put aside our identities for the sake of pleasing our friends, for the sake of pleasing our family, or for the sake of pleasing our corporation, whatever it is. And then in the process of doing that, like, you can end up losing a bit of yourself bit by bit, you know. So when you incorporate something like the shift mentality, for me, how the way I see a principle to me is like, you know, mentorship, especially with you. It is not like you giving me a fish, but it's you teaching me how to fish. So then you're giving me autonomy, you're teaching me how to be autonomous, how to be independent, how to go and do things for myself, how to go and get it for myself.
Yeah.
You know, so then everything that I've been able to learn from you and through you, it is not a case of these things only work when Ricardo's around. These principles only work, you know, if Ricardo is there. You know, it's like do you see what I'm
your
saying?
values and your identities aligned
there you go,
to
exactly,
that.
exactly. So then what you do is like you kind of help, you know, direct and thingy and invest the right type of mindset, you know, framework and just understanding that allows people like, yes, I can do it. Yes, I can. I can aspire. I can overcome. I can think it, and I can really look to build something positive for myself. I don't have to be reliant on a person to carry me forward.
Yeah.
You know, I can really take the journey of a 1,000 steps, of 1,000 miles, one step at a time.
That's it.
So, for me, it's just that, you know, understanding value, because value is very important, and you know, because the value is forgotten, then your worth will be forgotten. I mean, you don't know your value and your worth. You in a sense just make yourself adaptable for anything around you. You know, and there's a saying like, you know, a man who stands for nothing will fall for everything. You know, so then knowing, so that's what I'm talking about, value, knowing what you stand for. So then when things come to challenge what you stand for, you have to know this is as far as you go. You will not touch this territory.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what will build resilience, character, confidence, and thingy, and very, very, I guess, positive change for yourself and those around you, because they say that you are capable to weather the storm. You don't crumble when the storm comes along. You know?
Come on, man. My God. My God. My God. Man, thank you so
It's
much
a pleasure,
for joining,
man. It was a pleasure.
for joining me, man. And
Yeah.
guys, again, like he's saying, is like keep strengthening your strengths and keep sharpening your weaknesses. And guys, thank you so much for joining another week on The Shift. And you've got all the principles, you got all the wisdom that you need in order to create your own shift. So catch you on the next one. Peace.